Hey piano people, today we're going to be talking about the difference between reactive and preventive piano practice. I'm so excited to do this video because it's something that I believe in very strongly, but I've actually never talked about it on the channel in this way. So today I'm first going to share with you what each of those terms means in the context of piano playing. I'm going to actually tell you which one of these methods is better, why you should do it the better way, and how it will help you. And then I'll give you some examples of when and why you would use both methods. So reactive piano practice is when you approach your piano practice in a way where you are reacting to the circumstances or to the environment. Preventive piano practice is when you are bringing a level of focus and thoughtfulness before you sit down at the piano and start to practice. And let me give you an example. So I have an adult student that has been working with me for many years. I'm gonna call him Jamie. And Jamie came to me after learning how to play on his own for a couple of years. Whenever someone comes into my world and asks for help to play more beautifully and play more musically, we always go back to how they are spending their practice time. Because how you spend your practice time is how you are going to sound when you play the piano, period, case in point, end. If you are disorganized in your piano practice, your playing will be disorganized. If you are not making musicality a priority when you practice, you are not going to be able to make musicality a priority when you play. That's just how it works. And so I dove in with Jamie and I asked him, how are you spending your practice time? Tell me how it's structured. What are you doing during that practice time? And for the very first few months, every time I would ask him this question, his answer was always the same. He would say, first of all, I sit down and I play through my piece. And then I try to remember where I made mistakes, and then I try to fix those mistakes, or I try to work on those mistakes. And if you've seen some of my videos, you might know that there's a ton of red alarm bells going off in my head right now as he's describing this, because that is not the way that I would recommend that you approach your piano practice. The way that Jamie was approaching his piano practice was in a reactive way. He plays through the piece and then he tries to remember what goes wrong and he addresses the things that go wrong. This doesn't lead to effective or efficient piano practice. And it's not effective because there's a lot of gaps in there. First of all, by sitting down and just playing through a piece, you're not setting yourself up for success. You're not bringing the level of focus and awareness that is required to really execute such a complex task at a high caliber. Now, playing through and just trying to remember where the mistakes are is also pretty faulty because you're not going to be able to remember how many mistakes you made or where they are. And then trying to fix them is not nearly specific enough. So there's a lot of holes in that process that make it not effective and not efficient. Preventive piano practice is thinking about what you're doing before you do it. It's thinking about where are the places that I know are going to cause some trouble because they're technically demanding, or there's a lot of notes on the page, or all of a sudden the rhythm changes and it's complex. Where are the spots that I specifically will struggle with because I know my strengths and weaknesses at the piano? It's structuring your practice in a way that addresses those spots before you play through the piece. So we did a lot of work with Jamie to restructure his practice. So instead of sitting down and playing through the piece and then trying to fix the mistakes, he now approaches his practice in a very methodical way where he plans out what he's going to do. He sets goals and he plans out and structures his practice time using revolutionary practice methods that will get him to those goals. In general, preventive piano practice is going to be highly effective and highly efficient because you're bringing a level of consciousness to your practice that you can't otherwise bring if you're practicing in a reactionary way. Another really good example to illustrate the difference between the two and the problems with reactionary practice is if you apply the same concept to a performance. So let's say that you decide that you're going to play the piano for a friend, or you're playing for a festival or an exam, or you're just recording a video on your phone. And you go to play for someone, and in the moment, you sit down, you throw your hands on the keys, and you start playing. And as soon as you start playing, you get really nervous, your hands are shaking, maybe you're getting a little sweaty, your stomach is doing flips, all of a sudden your brain is kind of foggy and you don't have that level of focus that you usually have when you're not playing for another person, and you start reacting. So you make a mistake and then you freak out a little bit more. And so you tense up a little bit more and you start playing a little bit faster. And then you make another mistake. And so you tense up a little bit more and you start playing a little faster. And of course, you're not doing these things consciously, but you're reacting to all of the mistakes that you're making. And before you know it, those mistakes are snowballing and snowballing and snowballing, and there's a crash and burn. And if you've been there before, you know that this is an awful feeling. I know, I have been there, a lot of people have. But you can approach performance in a preventive way as well. If you practice performing, if you get to know the spots in the piece that generally mess you up or that generally make you nervous, you can bring a level of focus and you can bring a plan to your performance. And you can say, okay, I know that on page 3, I generally get really nervous and I start to rush. So I'm going to make a mental note that when I get to this section in the music, I need to actually take a deep breath and slow down. And that's a way that you can actually address that problem that could come up in a preventive way, instead of waiting and just kind of flying by the seat of your pants and seeing what happens and then reacting to it after the fact. I know it sounds like a really simple idea, but I would say that 98% of piano players practice in a reactive way as opposed to a preventive way. And this is something that we really focus on when someone first joins the Casual to Confident Piano Player program. We flip that switch, and I show every single person how to bring that element of focus and pre-planning to their practice so that it's effective and efficient, and they get out of the habit of just reacting in the moment, and they start to make a ton of progress way faster. You will actually use both in your piano practice, because initially I have people completely break the habit of reacting, and we focus only on preventive practice, and we flex that muscle, and we make it so that you are really confident in your ability to strategically think about how to practice and strategically think about how to play for other people to get the results that you want and to be able to play musically. But then eventually, once you have flexed that muscle and you feel like you have some strength there, we actually weave reactive practice back into it, because ideally you have a good balance of both, where you are bringing that thoughtfulness and you're thinking about what you're doing before you do it. And then you are also addressing any of the unexpected things that inevitably come up. But also, that is the first step in what we do in Casual to Confident Piano Player. And then beyond that, I give you all of the revolutionary practice methods that you will ever need to fix any problem in your piano playing. I teach you how to play musically, I teach you how to practice musically, and I'm with you every single step of the way for an entire year through live group classes so that we can work through any of the issues that inevitably arise as you continue taking steps on your journey towards being the piano player that you want to be. So as this video is airing, if you're watching this within the first few hours of it airing, enrollment is open for Casual to Confident Piano Player. This only happens a few times each year, and it closes on May 15th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And so if you're watching this video after that, you can go ahead and head to the link in the description and you can join the wait list so that you will be the first to know next time it opens. If you're watching this video and enrollment is still open, join me inside Casual to Confident Piano Player, where we completely transform the way that you practice to transform the way that you sound at the piano. I'll put the link in the description below. And if you're not already in my free Facebook community, head on over there. It is growing super fast, you guys. It's so exciting. And these members are coming together and encouraging each other, asking questions, and learning so much every single day. I have a lot of content in there that is not here on the YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and join that using the link on the end screen. And if you want some more videos about how to practice Smarter Not Harder, I'm gonna go ahead and link the end screen to my Smarter Not Harder playlist, where you can learn all about the different kinds of revolutionary practice methods that you can use in your piano practice that will help you practice in a preventive, not reactionary way. And you can check those out right here.